So I just did this post in Divorced Men, this man named Feisty Ad talking about his divorce being finalized and getting 50-50 custody. Well, in this particular post, he mentions his girlfriend and a live-in nanny. And at first I'm like, is he calling his girlfriend the live-in nanny or what? Well, the same day that he posted in the Divorced Men subreddit, 1 hour later, he posted in the legal advice subreddit, and he actually posted this same one in the LA legal advice subreddit. He titled this one, Modify First Right of Refusal to Include Live-In Nanny and Girlfriend. So he was talking about his girlfriend being the live-in nanny. He says, I'm in a tough spot with my ex. We're not on good terms and only communicate through the OFW app. We have an agreement that requires notifying the other person if one of us is going to be absent for more than 24 hours. This gets tricky because we have a 2-2-5 custody schedule, and sometimes I need to be away for more than 5 days straight. Occasionally, my days away overlap with my scheduled days with the kids. So if you were wondering what a 2-2-5 custody schedule was, I was too. I looked it up. It is a 2-2-5-5 custody schedule. It is a child custody arrangement that gives each parent equal time with their children over a 2-week period. First 2 days, one parent has children for 2 days. The next 2 days, it goes to the other person. The next 5 days goes to the first parent. The next 5 days goes to the second parent. This seems complicated. Wouldn't you rather do 7 full days and then 7 full days? I don't know. I've never heard of 2-2-5-5, but now we know. Okay, so like he was saying that sometimes his work schedule gets jacked up with his custody. He says, whenever this happens, I notify my ex, and she always invokes her first right of refusal, which means she gets to take the kids. I know she's using this to keep track and eventually use it in court to modify custody and get more child support. I'm considering asking the court to modify the agreement to allow my live-in nanny or my girlfriend, who are both caregivers and interact regularly with my kids, to count as acceptable alternatives when I'm away. However, I know my ex is unlikely to agree to this since she isn't dating and the current situation works in her favor, or at least extend the windows from current 24 hours to 72 hours. Do you think the court would consider such a modification? Any advice would be appreciated. Okay, so in the comment section on the first post, people were thinking that he meant nanny, the nanny was the girlfriend. And at first, before seeing this post, I thought the same, but he says who are both caregivers. So he has a live-in nanny and a girlfriend. So, he does have the support, but he is still relying on women to do his parenting, and he's still flustered and frustrated. If he has a live-in nanny, that means he's paying her, which means that he should not have an issue if he does need to modify the custody and give custody more to the mother to pay her more child support. But he's still just trying to wiggle out of child support, even though he knows that he can't really parent his children the way they need to be parented because he works. He works too much. I presume that the ex-wife is also working because she is, taking the kids half the time. So I'm sure she's going to work as well. All right, let's get into some of these comments. This person says, this really depends on the individual judge and the trends in your area. Right of first refusal is pretty common and standard. 24 hours is also generous. If the other parent lives nearby, it may be very difficult to convince a judge that your child is better off with a nanny or your girlfriend when their parent is available and wants to parent. Okay, so this was in the LA legal advice subreddit. The other subreddit only got one comment on that post. This person says, yeah, I don't see them modifying it for that. The first right of refusal is so that if they can't be with one parent, they are with the other. It's very hard to get that changed if it's already been included. They aren't going to take it out of the order so that kids can stay with a non-parent when the mom is willing and able to care for the child. Greedy Principal says the court is not going to change it. Why would the court want your nanny or girlfriend to watch the kids when their mother is available? This is exactly why there is a ROFR in place here. Oh, ROFR, right of first refusal. Okay, cool. And if you travel very often, she could very well use that to get more custody. Courts likely wouldn't side with you if this travel is regular. The only thing you can do is stop traveling on your custody days. Bob Belcherbuns, that is a wonderful name, says, I don't understand why your co parent wouldn't have the children. If you are gone and there's no parenting time for you to have, if you really travel so much that you think it can be used against you or whatever, then you travel too much for 50-50. Texas says, if you think it would be used against you in court, then change jobs and prioritize your child. Making Burrito says, to answer your question, no. I don't see a court modifying a right of first refusal to include people that aren't even family. You'd have a semblance of a shot if you were married, but your girlfriend and nanny are never going to get custody time over the child's mother. Frankly, I don't understand why you'd want them to. It's in your child's best interest to be with their parents over hired help whenever possible. See, these people have some sense. This man is, yeah, he's just only thinking about it from his own selfish standpoint. The mother can handle her children. He is not doing what he needs to do. So join the conversation. Hopefully that clears up some things. There is a nanny and a girlfriend. Join the conversation. Don't forget to like, comment, and share. The reason why I do these posts is because I know and understand that some men look at women as a wife appliance. They don't see our humanity. Many men can't see past us being a servant or an incubator to them, that they get to trade up or trade in when they get tired of their particular wife appliance or when they found an upgraded version. I also want women to know and understand that they need a plan B, C, D, E, F, G, LMNOP, just in case a man decides to upgrade them and leave them where they're standing. Because if you don't have a plan B, C, D, E, if you cannot survive regardless of your marital status, it will jack you up. The trad wife situation to poverty pipeline is a real thing. Even when people say, but love, or you should vet better, you can't vet what's going to happen in 20 years. You just don't know. So we are in the divorce subreddit. This woman says, just asked husband of 19 years for a divorce after he admitted to cheating again on our anniversary. And she uses the flare mental health, depression, and loneliness. She says, I'm so sad and broken. We were supposed to be having a romantic weekend together to celebrate our 19-year anniversary and reconnecting. And I guess the reconnecting was going too well because husband decided it was the perfect time to admit to starting an online relationship with the intent of setting up a rebound in case our marriage ended. It was 4 years ago, but I'd only recovered from him confessing around 6 months ago that he'd been cheating online and by phone for the first 15 years of our relationship. He dropped that one on me in the midst of a severe illness that I was barely able to function day to day. So I essentially gave him one last chance because to leave him would mean homelessness for me as we depleted all our savings and I'm unable to work. I feel so stupid and betrayed. I felt like a fool when I gave him another chance the last time, and even more like a fool now because this was entirely predictable based on past behavior. I don't know what steps I'm supposed to take or what I'm going to do. I just know I can't be with him anymore. I have nothing left to give. I can't even look at him anymore. He's begging and crying and pleading, but I just can't do it to myself again. He freely admits that he desperately wants me, but wants to have his cake and eat it too. When we met, I was young and attractive, but 3 kids and almost 20 years later, I felt like he stole the best years I had for setting up a life, and now I'm left at 43 extremely unwell, depressed, and with no real options. I feel like walking into the ocean and not coming out. Now, I want to stop and talk about this part right here. This is one of the main reasons why I do not want women to make mom and wife be their whole everything. Because when you lose that, you begin to lose a bit of yourself. And yes, those roles and titles are very important. They are a part of your life, but they are not your only life. And when you do this, you allow yourself to be depleted. Some people work themselves down to the nub, putting their everything into their family, and to the point where this woman has lost herself. Her mental health is failing and her physical health is failing, as well as her relationship. And obviously now her financial well-being is also being impacted. This is the reason why everything has to be in balanced. Okay, back to the post. She says, I have no family support, no close friends, and barely any superannuation because I took so much time away from work to raise our kids. I had no idea what superannuation is, and this is just a point of order. If you ever come across something that you don't know, you don't have to grab a dictionary these days. You could just go straight over to the Google machine and type in your question. So many times people will jump into comment section and say, what is, and then give a term. They don't have to ask people in the comment section. You can ask Google. And this is also somewhere where you can know and understand that sometimes you have to do some of the work for yourself versus looking for somebody to do your research for you. But anyways, superannuation is also known as a super. It's a long-term savings plan that helps people fund their retirement. It's a retirement pension program in Australia where employers contribute a percentage of their employees' pay to a superannuation account. Okay, so that's what that is. She says, I'm not well enough to take care of the kids by myself, so he would take the kids. I'm still not able to work. I'm barely able to leave the house. I have no idea where I'd go or how I'd move any furniture by myself. Husband is 7 years older, has family and friends to support him, has a well-ish paying job. He will get custody of the kids and will be just fine. He admits that he thought he could do anything and I wouldn't leave, and is shocked that I wouldn't give him another chance. I'm just done. I don't know what to do, and I hate everything about my life right now. I have nobody. I have nothing to show for our 19 years together but my station wagon and personal possessions. What do I do? So people gave some good advice in the comments, and we'll get to some of the comments in a minute. But this is one of the reasons why I want women to have some backup plans. You do not want to give all of your financial building time frame, all of your prime working years to being a wife and mom. And I know it's a challenge to juggle, and that is coming from someone who was a stay-at-home mom without any reportable income for 8 years myself. I know and understand that that was a risky endeavor. So I'm saying this from experience. Nothing bad happened during that time, but it was still a risk. So please don't do this. Please have some steps that you take to make sure that you are juggling things. Because even if you are working just enough to pay for childcare during those years when the kids can't go to school, at least you still have some Social Security under your belt. You have paid into the system so that if you need to go back to work, you're fine. You're better than what is going on with this particular one. Okay, Leah Park says, I'm so sorry you're going through this. First, focus on getting support, whether that's a therapist, a helpline, or even an online community. You don't have to figure everything out alone. Talk to a lawyer about your rights. You might be entitled to spousal support, and your health could impact custody decisions. It feels overwhelming, but step by step, you can find a way forward. Prioritize your mental and physical health and lean on any available resources, even if they seem small. You deserve better than what you've been through. And then the OP says, thank you so much. Great advice on all counts. New Nobody says, you need a lawyer, a therapist, and a divorce coach. Not sure why you think you need to leave, but your lawyer can file for possession of the marital home. This means he leave and you stay until the house is sold or he buys you out. If you rent, you stay until you get a new place. Why are you under the impression that you will not get alimony or child support? You will have money coming in. You just need a lawyer to get it for you legally. You need to look for work or apply for disability. You need to be serious about making a plan. Your emotions are high and you need to think calmly and rationally. Specialist Hunter says, I was in a similar situation to you in terms of illness and not having anything. I taught myself how to do things by learning online and gaining skills that I wouldn't have otherwise had. I don't want to be specific because it's such a niche that is identifiable, but I want to send you a DM if I don't mind. I'm sorry, if you want to send a DM, I don't mind. But there are lots of things you can do and get certifications for online in a relatively short period of time. I understand you're not well enough to work. There was a time when I had undergone chemo where I could not have worked either, so I understand. I'm just not sure if that's the state you're in, or relatively speaking, or you just not sought out work or learning a trade because of focusing on your family, or a combination of two. So it's hard not knowing your interests or your specific situation or education, but I've always taught myself everything that I've learned, and that did make it a little easier when the time came. As things shifted and changed, opportunities presented themselves, and I took one that was a complete change in circumstances and even location. I think I'm a lot older than you are. I'm not saying that as a comparison that you should do anything one way or another, just that as long as you're upright and breathing, there's always a chance to change your life. That is some great that's some great advice. You can make a change, you can do better. You just can't look at it like you need to make every specific change right now. You have to do it a little bit at a time. All right, y'all, join the conversation. Let me know what you think. Don't forget to like, comment, and share. Back in the day, women had to stay with cheaters. We had to because we didn't have very many options. It was financial, it was survival. These days, we do not have to. Cheating is a violation. Cheating is a series of choices that people make when they want to, when they don't give a damn about the other person's mental and physical health. Cheating is not something you just get over with some apologies and some time. Sometimes that just sits with you like another piece of your household, like another part of the family. That betrayal that your spouse who vowed to be with you in a monogamous relationship took that for granted. I do not believe in staying with cheaters because I believe in integrity. And so when you are a cheater, you have violated someone's trust over multiple times because of your actions, because it's not just slipping and finding your way into an extraneous vajayjay. It's not that. You have to find the person. You have to set up a time. You have to lie to your spouse about where you will be. It's not just an accident that you lubed up, maybe condomed up, and then slipped into somebody else's extraneous vajayjay. So this woman posted this in the marriage subreddit. She says, I haven't been able to have an orgasm since his betrayal, and she's seeking advice. She says, my husband cheated and I left him for a while. I felt alone during that time and found myself wanting to call him up about every little thing in my life. I decided 14 years together was something I didn't want to throw away. The issue I have is I'm not laughing at his jokes, and I'm easily triggered by the simplest things. For example, he likes to post positive relationship videos, and in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, how could you post that? You don't know about how a relationship works. I don't say that, but I'm thinking it. So here's my problem. Every time I feel his betrayal sneaking up, I withdraw and I will say something about how he betrayed me. I'm not mad when I say it, but I would like to at least talk about it with him. He talked about what he calls his F up for 2 days. That's it. I'm not the same person as before learning of the betrayal. How do I respond to him when I need to talk about what happened and why it happened, when the only thing he says is, that's in the past. Why do you keep bringing up the past? It was 8 months ago. How can I explain to him that it's not fair to expect me to just forget about what he did? And how much time does it usually take for a wife to trust her husband again? It's been almost a year, and I find myself still checking his phone. I even have a keylogger tracking his cell phone. I hate this feeling. Will I ever trust him again? And oh, I haven't been able to have an orgasm since the betrayal. How long will I feel like this? And how do I open the conversation with him when he just keeps saying that's in the past? This part right here, I felt alone during that time and found myself wanting to call him up about every little thing in my life. When women leave everything else to be in a relationship. When you become as one, that enmeshment means that you are not keeping up with your hobbies, you're not keeping up with your friends, you're not keeping up with your family, and you don't have anyone else to talk to. This is why it is so important to leave some of yourself. Leave some of yourself intact so that you're not just completely failing and flailing when a relationship ends. This should have ended, but it hasn't ended because she still needed to have her husband because she doesn't have any friends or family she can lean on. She doesn't have any hobbies or community to lean on to get past this. She doesn't need to be in this relationship because it's not a healthy relationship anymore. She just doesn't have anything to fill that void for when she walks away. And she's not able or willing to rebuild the life that she needs to have in order to feel whole. My coworker outside for this morning is a dog that is barking. That's why you might hear that in the background over there, way over there. All right, Jolly Mammoth says resentment and betrayal are marriage killers. You need some marriage counseling or individual counseling at the very least. Shape Sweet says cheating is the marriage killer for sure. And then Vest Perry says no, lack of communication. True two-way communication is the marriage killer. Oh, okay. If cheating occurs or even the desire to cheat does, this means the relationship is already failing before that. Talk and care to listen and discuss the issue, or it will fester like a wound. And this person says the desire to cheat. You clearly have not been in a long relationship. You don't know that for sure, but once people cross those lines of lying and the integrity is lost, that is what is a marriage killer. However, that manifests. This person did a really long comment, and I'm going to try to read through it. Jamal Zia says, you say you're thinking something, yet hold it in, opting not to say it. You will never reach a point where you truly have forgiven him until you express the authentic thoughts and emotions that have been created by this situation. This should be obvious, but when someone is unfaithful and both parties decide to reconcile, it takes work on both their parts. Usually, the cheater is the one who is eager to work hard to earn forgiveness to make the relationship work. Yet in your case, it doesn't sound like your husband is willing to work to overcome the mistake he made that fractured the relationship. This is a lazy attempt on his part to brush things under the rug in hopes of simply returning to the previously established dynamic with as little effort as possible. This is a sign of emotional immaturity as well as a lack of almost any empathy on his part. Was he remorseful when he was caught? Do you think he was simply playing the role he thought would best alleviate the situation, as in he was merely forcing remorse? Because it doesn't sound like he cares or knows how he's hurt you. He doesn't understand it, hence his insensitive comments attempting to sway you into moving on without the proper emotional process unfolding. A profound and healthy relationship at its core is a simple dynamic. Both parties are primarily interested in what they can provide for their significant other. Your husband doesn't seem to care to give you what you need, that is allowing you to express emotions that are in need of expression. He wants you to move along. You're annoying him. It's about him and his feelings. There is no real relationship with such a person. What you've been doing hasn't been working. Keeping your true feelings to yourself and allowing him to shoot down your attempts at conveying your emotional state. If you want to make this relationship work, he needs to understand that he must hear and feel what you have to say and what you are feeling. Try practicing alone first. Just talk to yourself. Let out these thoughts. The way you type is indicative of the emotion in those thoughts. How could you post that? You don't know about how a relationship works. You're angry, and this anger is caused by pain you haven't resolved. We resolve emotional pain by expressing it. Practice releasing this anger alone. Scream this exact sentence alone, maybe in the car. Let it out. You'll quickly realize in the moment more thoughts and feelings want to spill out. Let them come and go as your heart pleases. Then take some time to reflect on this experience. Reflect on your feelings and thoughts, as now that you have had the chance to express them, to properly lay them out before you, you are in a better position to navigate where and how you want to go from there. This will most likely be in the form of a stern and serious conversation with him, though you might even just come to the conclusion to end the relationship on your own. If you do decide to still want to try making things work, sit down with him, express your true thoughts and feelings to him with care, and make it known this relationship cannot continue unless he deals with it, aka listening to you, and I mean truly listening. Finally, one more bit of advice. It's called the sunken cost fallacy. This is a psychological phenomenon in which a person invests so much into a thing, despite all the markers indicating this is is a terrible investment, that they continue with their investment out of fear of having wasted their resources, whether that's time, money, etc., with nothing to show for it. So they stick it out in the foolish hope that things turn around, not realizing, looking in from the outside, they should have left long ago, and continuing this investment is simply a waste of resources. It's a specific type of denial. So you say 14 years of a relationship isn't something you wanted to throw away. This is generally a bad reason to stay in a relationship. Now, if it was a 14 years of a wonderful, fulfilling, loving relationship where you could rationally deduce the odds of reconciliation are very high, the mistake made was understandably foolish, but not so egregious to tarnish the good times, then this would be an understandable rationale. Anyway, hopefully something in that helps. LOL, good luck. That comment needed to be said in its entirety because it was amazing. There are so many gems in that. If you didn't learn something, I hope you did. The sunk cost fallacy is so important. Join the conversation. Let me know what you think. Don't forget to like, comment, and share.
I'm seeing a lot of black folks online talking about Kamala Harris's tax plan. It's not going to work for me. I don't want my taxes to be raised. And then I saw my homie from high school, who's I know is a truck driver, saying the same thing. And so I want to make something clear because politics can be difficult. If you've ever had to do this, if you do that to get the last little bit of lotion, you don't have to worry about Kamala Harris's tax plan. You don't have to worry about it. That's just not for you. Unrealized capital gains over $100 million is what she wants to be taxed. Do you have $100 million? You don't have $100 million. It's specifically to that friend. I know you don't have $100 million because you don't have a bed frame or a bedstand. So instead of running from Kamala, maybe you should be running to Kamala. Kamala Harris wants to give a $6,000 tax credit to folks with newborns. And you got like 3 baby mamas. You know who you are. You know who I'm talking to. But that's like a good rule of thumb, you know what I'm saying? If you ever put water in the dishwashing detergent and shuck it up like that so you can get more, you don't gotta worry about Kamala Harris tax plan. You don't gotta worry about that. You good. Don't worry about it.